Hey there, guys. It's great to be here again. I'm here with my good friend Tom Harrison. I am Michael Williams, and today we're going to be talking about the Pro90D Smooth Speech System. There's some questions about the system that we know that people have, and we want to clarify some of those things. And so Tom and I was just having a conversation, and we said, "Hey, let's just do this video and podcast to answer these questions." And one of the questions is, what's the difference between the self-study, the coaching, and the system, right? And is there a difference? And Tom, I love the way that you were articulating and clarifying this. So I'm just going to pose this question to you, like, what's the difference between the Pro90 self-study, the coaching, and the system itself?
Well, the short answer is no difference, in a very very real way, right? Because it really is all about the system. Right? It's a systematic approach to smooth speech, and self-study, right, means you're doing it all your own. Right? You've got all the material, you've got the system, which is beautiful because the reality is you can do it. Right? It's doable. You can get to smooth speech. Right? You can overcome the stuttering and get on that smooth speech path with the system, which is the self-study. And right. If you do the coaching, you can think of it this way. You can think of you're doing the self-study and you got a guide on your side. You got Michael guiding you through that. And, of course, you're going to be able to accelerate your progress. Just like imagine that you're at college. You could take that. Imagine you had the option to take that class all on your own or with the teacher. Now, I don't know. If you're like me, some teachers aren't so great and I would opt on it. I would opt to have it for myself. But right. In an ideal world, right, you would do much better. You would learn more. You would be guided more precisely, and you would accelerate your learning with the teacher. And I think in your work, Michael, it's actually a better example of it, right? Because this is what you do. You know it to your core. You've experienced both sides of the coin, right? You've experienced the struggle with speech and the way through it. So I think that's a helpful way to think of it. Same system, different ways of approaching it.
Exactly. A couple of things that you mentioned that I wanted to tap into. Number one, how working with me one-on-one accelerates the process. I've got this dialed in a little bit. I've seen where it can accelerate or speed up your results by at least 10 times. That's at least 10 times. Sometimes it's faster. Where did I get this number from? Well, over the past decade or so, I've had clients come in who've taken the self-study or who've cobbled the self-study together from all of my YouTube videos, right? So they kind of have a lot of the system, not all of it, but they have enough of it. And it has taken them, as well as people who've purchased the complete system, it's often taken them a couple of years to get to the same place that it's taken either those same people or others a couple of months working with me. So either like 24 months or longer. I mean, there's people working on their own for 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years. Now, this doesn't mean those people haven't seen results, because if they didn't, they would have gone off and done something else. They're actually seeing results. And because they see results sometimes very quickly, they become inconsistent and they don't stick with it long enough. So then they slide back, then they get back into the system again. They see results and they slide, and they just keep going through this roller coaster for years, right? And never really reaching their speaking potential. Now, either they come and work with me, or people who are just watching my videos, they'll come and work with me. And you'll see where in just a couple of months, they're beyond where they were working on their own, right? For 2 and 3 years. Their speech is smoother, they're more consistent, so forth and so on. So one of the reasons, or a couple of reasons that this happens, is I'm able to customize and personalize the system, right? So just as you said, the system is in the self-study. You get the whole system. When you work with me one-on-one, you also get the self-study, you get the system. Difference is that I personalize it, I customize it. We zoom in and focus on those things that you need right now to get you to that, what we call that 20%. The 20%, one or two things that's going to get you the 80% or more of your results. It's very, very difficult for you to figure out on your own. Not because you're not intelligent, just because I've been doing it so long that I can look at a person and within minutes say, damn, this is what we need to work on now, right? Whereas they might work on 5 or 6 different things, right? So yeah, I just wanted to clarify, not clarify, but just expand on this idea of why the coaching accelerates the process.
Yeah, and I love the way you said it's customized. Another way to look at that is it's personalized, right? I mean, it really is. So it's looking at your unique issues, disfluencies, right? Just even your habits, right? Your mini habits, your micro habits, the things you do that get in the way. You made a really good point, Michael, that so often people will get to a certain point of, of skill attainment, of accomplishment. And, hey, I've got this. Paper off. This is typical, right? This isn't just in this realm. This is in any realm of skill. People do that. This is also the difference in people who are amateurs and professionals, right?
Right.
If you don't stay with it and really continue to work with it and continue to up-level it, you're going to stay in the amateur level. And hey, that might be all right. That may be fine for some people. But for those of you who want to up-level your profession or maybe even step into that profession that you think has been unattainable, this could be the difference, right? And now the beauty is when you go into the self-study, like, so let's say you want the coaching, but let's just face it, not everyone can afford it right now. That's possible, but you don't have to worry about that because if you know that the self-study is the same system, you know you're starting in the right place. And that can take you to the level where you can begin to afford the coaching. And the coaching is not super expensive, but hey, I know we're all in different places. And the truth is, if you really are trying to get to that place in your profession or get that job or get that raise, I get it, right? The income may not be there. So one way to look at this, if you're one of the people who are like, God, I want to do the coaching, but I can't afford it, and yet you're still not getting the self-study because for some reason you think there's the only thing that'll work for you is the coaching. Hey, think of it this way. Think of, you got to do the self-study anyway. You're not off the hook when you get in the coaching, right? Oh, wow, you paid extra, so you don't have to do the self-study. No, no, you still got to do it. But now you got Michael guiding you, helping you, keeping you accountable. There's one more thing I wanted to say. You were talking about, again, people how they will slide, right? Get to a certain point and slide back. Well, this alone is a reason to get the coaching, right? If you can make that investment in the coaching, that alone can save you. Because the reality is we don't realize we're sliding, right?
Right.
We get to a point, we're good, we think we're good, we rationalize it, we don't give space for continued work, we let the self-study go, and we do this in all kinds of things. This would be akin to if you just took a course, oh, I'm not going to go to college, I'm just going to take all the college courses. Yeah, I want to see how that works out for you, right? So it's that guidance that helps carry you down the course. So accountability alone can pay for it.
Is a big one. And I'm going to give you 2, maybe 3 examples, because one example is, 3-4 years ago, but I'm going to give you 2 recent examples of how people invested in the coaching and the money that they spent, they're already about to get that money back multiple times. So one guy, he is in school, he's got a year left, and he had to go through a series of interviews, and I forgot what they call it in his country, because many of my clients are from different parts of the world, but in his country, they had to go through this whole process of interviews and applications and stuff. And he worked with me, man, it was only for about a month. Now, this guy, when I first met him, was relatively severe. He was a relatively severe stutterer. I'm talking about secondary movements, eyes, face, pushing words out, not mild at all. Worked with me for about a month. Then he had to take a little break because he was approaching all of his exams and interviews and stuff. So in just a month, he went through, did his interviews, and got a job. He got a job. And now we just resumed our meetings. And I said, oh, well, I saw how quickly he improved just in working with him. Now, he knows that had he not started the coaching, he would not have done as well in his interviews. Just wouldn't. I'm not saying he wouldn't have gotten the job, but I can tell you, I'm working with someone right now who's like 70 years old. And this guy said, you know what? I've had to settle for jobs. I didn't get the kind of jobs that I could have gotten because of my speech. So this guy's young, and he knows that he did better in his interviews because he got into the system and he worked with me. Now, here's another example. I just interviewed a young lady and her husband, both from Saudi Arabia today. You're going to see her interview, and she's going to be doing a presentation tomorrow in our YouTube live. Okay. Interviewed her. So we went through the interview. She was severe as well. I'm talking about severe, and I'm going to show a little clip of her in the beginning when she started. You're going to see it. And she, after the interview was over, turned the record button off. She said, "Oh yeah, and I wanted to tell you that I had an interview just like last week or something. I was confident. I was able to say everything I wanted. In fact, the interviewer said, I really liked the way you expressed yourself, the way you articulated the thoughts, the way you answered the questions based on your communication skills and your qualifications. You're overqualified for the job you're applying for. We want to offer you a better job with more money."
Wow.
Right in the
That's
interview.
awesome.
Then she says, okay. And then, I also forgot I had another job interview and I think I did even better. And I'm waiting on them. It's just like, so I'm like blown away. She was blown away. Her husband was blown away. So now the money that she's invested, she's already going to get that money back multiple times. I don't know what her salary is going to be, but I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be at least 10 times what she paid for the coaching program.
Oh, yeah.
At least, maybe 20 times, right? Because of the field that she's in and where she lives. So guys, now, and I'll just jump back real quick. I had a guy, you can see his testimony. His name was Japheth. This was a few years ago. He started working with me, college student, just got out of college, saved up his money, said, Michael, I'm giving you almost my last dime. Within, I don't know, had to be less than a couple of months, he had gotten 2 jobs. He got his first job in a very, very short period of time. Then he got offered another job, so he upgraded. Then he got offered a third job where he made even more money, all within the span of a few months. He more than doubled his salary during the time that we were working together. So I just wanted to share those specific experiences. Now, there have been people who've done similar things, who've done the self-study. We tend to see more people experience these successes who do the coaching, but there are literally thousands of people who do the self-study, some of whom I never hear from.
Yeah, I was going to say part of it is you just don't hear from those people. You're in touch with the people who you're coaching more directly.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, something that I really hear from that, I think is a crucial part of the coaching. And, by the way, it is part of the system too, but confidence, right? So much of what you just talked about requires confidence, right? So, I mean, imagine that. So kind of wherever you are in your speech, confidence is a factor. I mean, that's just real.
Absolutely.
Even if you're a severe stutterer, you need, even more so, you need the confidence to communicate at all, right? So kind of wherever you are in your speech journey, from being a severe stutterer, for example, to someone who would never think of themselves as a stutterer, you speak relatively smoothly, confidence is still a factor all the way through. And this is something where it's built into the system And as you can imagine, when you have a guide, a mentor, a teacher like you, reinforcing them and encouraging them and helping instill confidence, that just takes it to another level, right? Because sometimes we block ourselves from that confidence, even if it's built into a program, right? So this is a really good example of a component of the system. Confidence is strewn all the way through it. And some of us really need that other person guiding us, that mentor, instilling that confidence into us for us to get it.
Absolutely. There's some times that I'm working with people and I'm like, man, we had to really analyze this thing, and I had to draw deep into my experience to troubleshoot this particular issue. I don't know how they would have done this on their own, right? I just don't know how they would have or could have, or how long it might have taken them to figure this out, because I really had to I had to dig deep and really think about and look at my other clients and look at the system and look at the science. And so definitely, the coaching is going to get you the best results the fastest for most people, or for the average person. However, a great place to start for many of you is going to be in the self-study, because that's the system. That's where the system is, right? And just like you said, Tom, you got to do the system, whether you work on your own or you work with me. You're doing the same exact system. So if you have a question out there, well, like, Michael, if I do the coaching, do I also get the self-study? Do I get the system? Yes, you do. If I do the self-study, do I get the system? Yes, you get the system, right? And for some people, it's going to be best, like you and I were talking earlier. Some of my best clients are people who started with the self-study. You don't have to stay in the self-study for years and years. You can start in 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. Go, bam, this is awesome. This is amazing. I'm getting it. But I know to get to that next level, or to get to that next level faster, I need some guidance. You may have interviews coming up, right? Or important presentations, and you just don't have the time to be going up and down and sliding back and forth. You need to get your speech to a certain level as quickly as possible. And the coaching can help you do that.
And one last thing I want to say about the up and down and back and forth sliding, we've talked about it a few times. Yeah. That is natural, right? Absolutely. So even though it happens in the self-study, it's not like that's going to disappear when you do the coaching. It's still going to happen. Right. But again, this is why it's so helpful to have that guide, right? It's going to pull you back to make you aware. Because again, we usually don't realize until it's too late that we slipped and slided and went up. We might feel the frustration, but it looks like this. We get frustrated and we quit because we think it's not working. Or we think we got it, and so we don't do the work. All these different ways we rationalize things, when the truth is, it's all natural. It's all part of it. That's even in the system, but we may have gotten out of it before we got to that part, right? Exactly. So the system itself is critical. It's the hinge pin, right? That's the thing everything works from. Yeah. And it's kind of, where are you at? Like, where are you at in your journey? Like we said, the system's embedded in the free content out there too. But let's just get real. For some people, a particular thing you might find online that you've put out there, Michael, might be just what they needed in that moment, right? And it might be something you can work on for a while, and it might be enough for some people. But you'll know, right? You know what if you need more than that. And to try to cobble it from what's out there, the reality is you could maybe sort of do that, but how long is that going to take? And, there's an order to it all, right? And so we want you to get results from the content that's out there so you can see that this stuff works. But keep in mind that you're only getting such a small taste of it. And if you really want to ramp that up, right? So if some of you were thinking, well, it doesn't really work because I tried this and it works a little bit, but, it didn't last. Or I tried this and it didn't work, or whatever. Well, that's because you're not doing it in a systematic way. And you're not going to really be able to do it in a systematic way until you get the system as a whole. So think of it as you're ready for that great meal, and it's nice to taste a little bit here and taste, so you know that you like the flavors. But it's going to be really fulfilling when you sit down for the meal, right?
Exactly.
So we invite you to get started in any way you can. And I love one more thing about what you said about the timing. This happens a lot. I know you see this all the time, where people that, that interview is coming up and they didn't dive in yet. Right. So, okay, maybe it's too late for this particular interview.
Right.
But think about the next one. Right.
Exactly.
So this is where this investment can pay off probably more than anything. If you think ahead, and even if it's a little tough, even if you have to do some digging to get the money, if you think ahead and realize, you know what, I want to have that interview, even if I don't feel like I can have it today, you can trust what Michael's saying. So many of his people were at the place in the beginning where they didn't think they could get that interview. Right. But once they got going, it's like, so start planning for that now. Think about the self-study as a way to kind of get yourself moving down the track, and then get into that coaching so you can get that, you can set up that next interview that may not even be on your radar right now.
Exactly. A couple of points, and then I know that we have to wrap up. Number one, Pro90D is a holistic, science-based or scientifically based, science-based, complete system, right? And we deal with stuttering and speech on or from or in three different aspects, three different dimensions, if you will. One is the mental or the psychological. So it's not all mental, it's not all affirmations and self-talk and visualization. Some people just focus on that. But that's an important component. And often you'll find that other therapies and treatments and programs don't address that aspect at all or heavily enough, or they're simply not trained or knowledgeable in that. And so you only get this next part, which we also address, which is the physical. Things such as breathing and things and all of the proactive speaking skills that we teach you that don't just help you to not stutter, but actually help you to get compliments like my clients do. Wow, this was an excellent interview. We love the way you communicate. Now, people don't just say, you and I have talked about this, they don't just say, oh, wow, you know what? You didn't even stutter, because they didn't even know the person stuttered. Hey, you know what? This was such a great interview because you didn't stutter. No, these people are communicating so well that they're above average speakers. And they're saying, this was a great interview. I love the way you communicated. I want to offer you more money, right? So Pro90D takes you to the next level because of the physical, the psychological, and then the third is identity based, which is the big one, where you literally start to see yourself, identify yourself as the kind of person who can handle any speaking situation. You're an excellent speaker. You're an amazing speaker. People love to speak with you. You start to see yourself that way because guess what? You're going to have some disfluencies for the rest of your life. I do, Tom, you do, everyone has them. But when your identity is such that you see yourself as an excellent speaker, when you have a dip, when you have a disfluency, it doesn't pull you all the way back down. If you're just using technique-based programs, right, or just doing psychological stuff, then when you have a dip, you start to doubt. You say, wait a minute. And I've heard people say, wait a minute, I'm back to square one. I'm still a stutterer. I'm stuttering again, right? And then you slide back, right? And then you keep sliding back because as your confidence level dips, because you're starting to see, wow, I'm getting stuck again. Your confidence goes down. Then you start stuttering more, and then it goes down more, right? So what needs to happen is we have to address the identity side. Pro90D addresses all three of those.
Absolutely. Awesome. And just real quick on that, that's like, imagine transitioning from being technique oriented, where you're having to think of techniques all the time, to transforming into just as who I am. I'm a smooth speaker, right? It's a world of difference. And this goes back just briefly to, we were talking about the investment in your speech, in the self-study, in the coaching, in the system. This really shows you what you just said, Michael, shows you how this is an investment that pays off for a lifetime, right? Because this is about continuing to develop your speech as you go using this same system, right? So it's not like, so I think it's important to say, this isn't all just so you can get in and pay for the coaching. And then we say, oh, well, now we're going to offer you the ultimate smooth speech system. No, you're getting the ultimate smooth speech system at whatever level you come in. Like we talked about, if you get the coaching, you're going to be able to accelerate your progress and get that guidance that's just vital for many people. And beyond that, whichever way you go, even if you don't do the coaching, this is a lifelong endeavor where, Pro90D stands for 90 days. Essentially, it's giving you an idea of what it might take to get there. In 90 days, you can be pretty much where you want to be, and you can keep building it and get better and better, right? And this is the difference between, oh, I'm not stuttering, to, oh my God, I'm a great speaker and I'm getting better.
Exactly. Tom, your video froze. Can you turn your video off and back on again? Even though we're getting ready to wrap up anyway, but.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Tom, thank you very much for being here with me today, and hopefully we've been able to clarify for some people the differences, the similarities, what you get when you get the self-study, what you get when you get the coaching. Basically, what we've said is you're getting the system, and we deliver the system in two ways. One, self-paced, kind of working on your own, but there's a community there as well. And the other way is when you're working with me, which speeds up, it accelerates the process by sometimes as much, or as at least by 10 times. Sometimes it's faster. So if you've got stuff that's coming up, interviews, important meetings and presentations, then you're probably going to want to invest, and we use this word very, very deliberately, invest in the coaching, because I've seen this just over the last week. I've seen people potentially get many times more back from their investment in the coaching. Tom, you have any last comments or whatever?
I think that covers it. I couldn't agree more. The investment. Think of it as a long-term investment. And maybe think of it, one thing, the longer you wait, right, and the more that you're trying different things, and you find that you slipping and sliding and going up and down, and you're not really making the progress, think of that time as a service charge that you're kind of paying on yourself, right? Because that time is money.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you guys for watching and for listening, and we'll see you the next time.
Awesome.
See you later.
Take care, Michael. Take care, everyone.